Welcome into episode number 4 of Husker Women's Wednesday. I'm Jessica Coody, and for today's guest, we are getting to know Gena Jorgenson of Husker Swimming and Diving. The sophomore out of Aberdeen, South Dakota, has already made a tremendous mark on the program with her name on top of 4 different program records, and she just keeps getting better and better. She's an excellent student. She's involved in the community. She's the epitome of a student athlete. So without further ado, let's get to know Gena Jorgenson. Welcome in. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we don't always talk swim and dive, so I kind of just wanted to dive into the sport a little bit, get to know you. But first of all, tell us about your recruiting story. How did you end up here at Nebraska?
So when I first started my recruiting process, it was before my junior year of high school. It's been the same since then. June 5th was, I think, the date that it opens for everyone, even now. And I just emailed a whole bunch of schools, didn't matter where, didn't matter what type, Division I, Division III. I just sent out a whole bunch of emails. Got some emails back, got turned down, but Nebraska was one of them that reached out to me. So I scheduled a trip here, and I absolutely loved it. And so this is where I came.
What did you love about it?
What really got me was the team atmosphere at first, but then I'm also here for school. So the programs that were in my major were great. So I came here.
Out of Aberdeen, South Dakota, how did you even get into swimming up there in South Dakota?
So my mom and my grandma both were swimmers. My grandma was a swim coach, kind of got my mom into it, and then my mom threw me and my siblings into the pool as little as we could, so that's where I started.
How did it develop for you into becoming, something that being thrown into the pool to I can go to college for this?
Honestly, I didn't really think college was going to be my end goal until maybe my freshman year of high school. A little bit later, some people know I'm for sure going to go. Even into my sophomore year, I was like, yeah, I want to go, but I don't care where I go. I just want to have fun with it. But yeah, probably beginning of high school was when I knew.
What's the recruiting process? I mean, you said you just emailed a bunch of schools, but for someone that wants to get into swimming and diving at the collegiate level, what's that recruiting process like?
So definitely emails, questionnaires, calling, texting coaches. It was basically I started the conversation before they could talk to me, and if they wanted to see me and I didn't reach out, they would contact me as well.
So do they go scout, you talk about in other sports, you go scouting events and stuff. Do they come to meets and watch you swim, or how does that work? Yeah,
so the big meets, like junior nationals, you tend to see coaches from all over the country there, and which is super nice because those people who do make those meets do get the opportunity to kind of show what they have. So that I went to a couple of those meets, and then Futures, which is a smaller meet, but it's still a big regional meet. They often send coaches to those. So
how many high school state titles do you have?
Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head. I think
at least 15, right?
Off the top, yeah, maybe. See, South Dakota is different. We didn't have high school swimming. We're the only state that doesn't have high school swimming, so
really?
I only ever did club.
Wow.
Yeah, and college is very similar to high school, so that was a little bit of a change for me, but yeah.
So how was that different then?
It's definitely more team-oriented, college and high school, than club is. I had a very, close club team that I definitely benefited from, but you don't get that. You're only here for the team, really. You'll do whatever you want for the team. Other people will do things for themselves, but yeah.
So what was that like then when you were first part of the team atmosphere, when you're used to it being the other way?
I loved it. I definitely love interacting with everyone, and everyone has your back, everyone's cheering for you. That was the best part of it.
So then you get here as a freshman and you start breaking records immediately. What went into your freshman year? How were you so ready to come in and compete at such a high level?
I definitely didn't expect the results that I would have gotten out of freshman year. But I think having just the support system, I don't know if my training was necessarily like, it's just so different from what I have here. And that might have been what kind of made me prepared for college. But yeah.
So then tell us about all the events that you do, because you have 4 different records. They're already all over the record books, but you were telling me there's a limit to how many you can how many events you can swim. So, but tell us all the events that you compete in.
So my main events are the distance events. So for like conference, I have my 3 events picked. They're out. So it's the mile, which is 66 lengths, and then the 500, which is 20, and then the 4 IM, which is 16, but it's all the strokes. And then I will swim whatever I need to, whatever the coaches want me to at dual meets. So
66 laps. What are you thinking about?
Honestly, nothing much. Like I'll sing, I'll do math, I'll do whatever to get me through that 66.
Do you count? Like, I mean, are you counting every lap, or how does that work?
So I used to not. I used to just let them counter do it, but I've had in the past, I've had some troubles with that. So I've started to count, and then that's where the math comes from. I will just figure out where I am.
So what is it about, the distance and that 1,000 freestyle that you just broke this season that makes you so good at it, that you are such a competitor at it? I
think why I'm good at it is based off my training. Like, we do miles of swimming a day. Like, I would say probably 5-6 miles a day of just straight swimming. That's definitely gotten me where I need to be.
Is there something in when you go back, like, you talk about other sports, you go back and watch film and maybe see some technique things too. Is that part of it as well, the process of kind of developing as you go? Yes,
like technique, from the beginning of the season, I'm starting to work on new things every day, starting to incorporate things that I'm definitely weaker at. So that's also gotten me a lot farther.
So you were telling me, though, what you're best at is probably not even your favorite stroke.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I love swimming backstroke. Like, I don't know if it's because I can breathe the whole time or what, but I love the 200 backstroke. That's an unpopular opinion, but I love the 2-back.
Why? Why is that an unpopular opinion?
It hurts. It hurts your legs a lot.
So do you like the medley too?
Yeah, I love swimming the 4 IM. Like, I like changing it up. Like, freestyle, it's fun and all, but being able to swim every single stroke, it kind of just gets you, I don't know, a feel for the water differently. And then, like, training-wise, it also gets me away from just swimming freestyle, and it mixes it up, makes it a little bit more fun.
How fun is it to be a part of the relay teams? Because they're like so fun to watch.
Yes, the relays are the best. Like, I'm not a sprinter, sadly, which most sprinters are on more relays than I am. I normally get 1 relay in there, but being part of a team and like sharing that excitement with 4 or 3 other girls, so much fun.
So did you play other sports growing up, or was it just swimming?
I did do other sports. I did basketball, volleyball, dancing, soccer, kind of the whole mix until probably about middle school, where I had to start choosing because time.
Yeah. So what's the number 1 sport did you like growing up outside of swim?
I think I just stayed in soccer the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you talk about what you're doing and becoming good at it, it takes a lot of time, a lot of training. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that? I mean, because I got to imagine there are days that it is not fun, but you have to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah. I think most of the time when it's not fun, you have to kind of just look at other things, maybe put your mind in a different place. But other than that, it's easier. It's gotten easier as like I've gone through college to like balance everything, because I like to stick to a schedule. So
when you break these records, what does it mean to you to have your name at the top of the Nebraska swim and dive record books?
Honestly, I would never have imagined myself there anytime or even at this point, but I'm incredibly honored. Like, that's super cool to have those records. A lot of them are like 40 years old.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Do you have a feeling like, okay, I've got a really good swim going?
Yes and no. It depends. Like, I could have a swim that feels like I'm not trying, but I'm like, I know this is going to be a great time, or there's swims that are like, ooh, I'm struggling, but then I touch the wall and it's also a good time, or I'm feeling super good and it's not a good time. So it kind of just depends on the day.
So now that you have the records, do you continue now? Do you want to beat yourself?
Yes, what I want to do is basically get a best time. Like every time I hit the water, I want to try to go faster than my personal times.
And then how do you, when you're doing multiple events like that and long events, how do you balance that? How do you get ready to do that every single meet?
Goes back to the training. Like we do so many sets that prepare us for that, to where we can just keep going back to back to back. But then also being able to like have fun and not think too much about the swimming, that also gets you prepared. So
I read somewhere that I think it was last summer you had an Olympic qualifying time or Olympic trials qualifying time.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and what that does for you.
So yes, last summer I got 3 trials cuts for this upcoming summer, and that basically that allows me to compete to see if I can get into the Olympics. But for swimming, it's very hard to make the Olympic team. They only take the top 2 in each event, and the top 2 in each event are girls my age or younger. Like swimming is such a young sport that it's very hard to compete in.
So the trials are coming up. So it's more so like you have to have a certain time to be able to qualify,
Yes.
to be able to compete for that.
Yes. So they have qualifying times that they send out every, or like 2 years before the Olympic year, and then you have that time to get it. They have a qualifying time, and if you get a time within that, you get to go.
So then is that a goal of yours? Is that something that you're striving for?
So not necessarily, not the Olympic team, but getting a good place at Olympic trials, that's what I want to, that's my goal.
For someone that grows up swimming, I got to imagine before the Olympics, that's what you strive for, right? To even get to compete for that. So to be able to get that number and even just have a shot, how exciting was that for you?
Oh my gosh.
And rewarding. I got to imagine so rewarding.
It was so rewarding. Like when I touched the wall and I saw, like I knew the times. My goal was to get an Olympic trials cut. So I knew the times, I knew what I wanted to try to go for, but like touching the wall and seeing that time, it blew my mind. Like I wouldn't have ever believed that was going to be the moment that I got the time.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so coming up next, you guys have the Big Tens. That's February 21st through the 24th in West Lafayette. Tell us about where the team's at, how you guys feel going into the Big Tens, because then after that, it's NCAAs.
Yes. Right now, I think the team is feeling good. Like we just came out of 2 really good dual meets that we were all pleased with. Like a lot of us got best times at those meets or close to our best times, and I think that really helped boost our confidence for what is going to come in a couple weeks, and kind of just gear us up for training that's coming up and basically the long run.
Yeah, and you're not the only one that you just said it that have broken program records this season, and you talk about the team aspect of it. When you're going throughout a meet and you kind of hear and see that and feel that, how much does that fuel you guys throughout the entire team?
Oh, it builds us so much. Like I know there was a lot of records broken this weekend, and everyone just gets so pumped up. Like you see it in the team, the atmosphere, like the cheering, it just increases so much. It's so fun.
You qualified for the NCAAs last season. What did you learn from that experience that you're applying to this year?
I think this year I'm going forward from what I learned at NC's is you kind of just have to swim one race at a time. NC's isn't guaranteed, so taking what I saw last year and just applying it to like Big Tens and then maybe NC's again this year if I get invited again, I think that will basically help me just prepare my swims and prepare myself more mentally, hopefully to see a good outcome.
Was it a good experience of kind of seeing what it takes to go compete at that level?
It was such a good experience. Like even seeing, so like I mentioned before, swimming is a very young sport. NCAA's like A final is pretty much all Olympians. So watching that was incredible to see.
You are not just great in the pool. You also have big aspirations in the classroom. You've already gotten a lot of academic awards as well. How do you balance that? Pre-med at that, what goes into your juggling act of being a student athlete and taking all these hard courses?
Definitely just scheduling out my time. I used to be a pretty big procrastinator, and that's definitely shrunk a little bit. It's not fully away, but having like a plan in place for my day is getting me through.
You'd said this at the beginning when you were talking about Nebraska. Why was that important? How come that was such a big part of your decision, the academic part of it?
Well, I'm going to school for my academics, and I want to achieve a lot of things in the future. I want to either go to med school, as of now med school, maybe nursing school, but I want to pursue more than just my athletic career.
Why the medical field?
I want to help people, and I loved science. I think I really fell in love with science in high school, and it challenges me, so that was one of the draws to it.
So far, what's the hardest class you've taken?
Definitely organic chemistry. It just does not click in my head. I have to spend a lot of time memorizing the structures and reactions. So
is that where you just came from that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. You were also on the Tom Osborne citizenship team. Just the overall student athlete experience. How much have you enjoyed that at Nebraska? Not just, you can talk about just the athletics part, academics, but the entire experience and everything that you get to do as a student athlete here.
I have loved every moment of it. Like being able to go out into the community here and meet a whole bunch of different people. That was one thing that drew me here as well. I love going and interacting with little kids, going to schools, talking, doing, Husker Heroes here as a freshman. I absolutely loved every minute of it.
It's incredible. So, with this women's podcast, kind of always want to ask, for the next generation, someone might be listening in, might have aspirations of being where you are. What would be your word of advice if there's a young swimmer listening in of maybe wanting to get to college and swim collegiately?
Have fun with it, but also push yourself out of your comfort zone. I think the best opportunities that I got were when I was the most uncomfortable. It's not always fun, but it gets you far in life.
And then for those young parents that maybe want to teach their kids how to swim, what about that?
I would do it, put them in swim lessons, put them in the pool. Even if they don't love swimming and don't want to follow it as a sport, they can go play with their friends, they can go to lakes, anything. I would say do it. Put your kids in swimming.
That's awesome. Gena Jorgenson, appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great season so far, and can't wait to see what you and your teammates do as you guys head into Big Tens and then the NCAAs.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode, and thanks to Jenna for joining us here on Husker Women's Wednesday, and thanks to Emeritus. Emeritus is proud to power Husker Women's Wednesday and all of Husker women's sports. Thanks again for listening. I'm Jessica Coody with the Huskers Radio Network.